Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite tournament or GPP plays for this Week 9 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. And like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of my cheat sheet, breaking down a couple of game stacks that I like targeting this week, as well as some of my favorite individual plays and stacks. But again, everyone, I can't mention enough to join the Discord here. You can see that mentioned above. Completely free to do that. Over 800 people now in the Discord channel talking multiple different sports for DFS, as well as some of their favorite sports bets. So if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. With that being said, let's dive into the cheat sheet here. We're going to kick it off with a couple of game stacks that I like targeting for tournaments this week, starting with this game between the Bills and Dolphins. Now, very important divisional game here, especially for Miami, but I like stacking up the Bills side largely due to how affordable the wide receivers are for Buffalo, every single one of them at or below $6,000 on DraftKings, and I like stacking up Josh Allen here with Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman, but you could absolutely mix in Shakir here or even Dalton Kincaid at the tight end position, and then I like running it back there with Devon Achane because that Bills secondary is solid, but their rushing defense has been susceptible this year. And one of the other reasons I really like stacking up the Bills side is because Josh Allen has dominated this Dolphins defense over the course of his career. Now, we can ignore his last game there with 9.8 DraftKings points, but look at the games prior to that. 29.1, 39.5, 39.9, 30.7, 29.5. Some really solid numbers there. So again, I like stacking up the Bills side and then running it back with Achane. And then another game stack that I like targeting here this week is this game between the Cowboys and Falcons, and I truly do believe we can stack up either side of this game. If you wanted to roll out Kirk O'Chains with Kyle Pitts and Drake London, even Darnell Mooney, and then run it back with a CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, or Tolbert, I have no problem with that. But the reason I lean towards the Cowboys passing attack and then mixing in Bijan and Kyle Pitts is because, well, the Cowboys don't have a running game. So I like stacking up Dak Prescott here with CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson, his top two pass catchers, and then running it back with Bijan because that Cowboys rush defense is just not good at all, as well as Kyle Pitts. We saw the 2-touchdown performance last week. I still like this price here at $4,900 and one of the more affordable pieces when it comes to this game. Plus, you got the dual tight ends there. That always makes your lineup unique when it comes to tournament lineups. So this is very expensive, everyone. You are going to need to find some value throughout the rest of your lineup if you want to roll out this full game stack, but you could also condense it if you wanted to as well. Maybe you roll out Dak with CD and Bijan and leave it at that, or go a little cheaper. You could go Dak with CD and run it back with the Kyle Pitts, but overall, I do think there's some shootout potential in this game here. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these individual plays and stacks here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. It's completely free to sub to this channel. We're close to 4,300 of you now. It's growing every single day, and really every like, comment, and sub that you guys leave truly does help me out. So again, I appreciate that. With that said, let's dive into some of these individual plays here, and I like Matthew Stafford at the quarterback position this week. We did get the Puka Nacua news on Thursday night. Apparently tweaked the knee. That did make him miss that first handful of games to start the season. So let's keep an eye on that. It sounds like Sean McVay is optimistic that Nacua is going to play, but if he doesn't, it is a downgrade to this LA Rams offense. So I want to keep that in mind here when I talk about Stafford, but assuming that both Kupp and Nacua play, I love him at this price here, $5,700. We really saw this offense click last week against the Minnesota Vikings. I think they can build on that. And at this price here, $5,700, not crazy to think he could get that 4-5x value, which I'm shooting for in my tournament lineups. Another game that I almost highlighted to stack up was this game between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. I like rolling out Jordan Love with a couple of his pass catchers and then running it back with a Jahmyr Gibbs, who you can see I got listed on the running back side of things. Love has been practicing this week, but he did leave last week as well, so we need to keep an eye on his status, and another reason he's listed as an honorable mention. But assuming that he is healthy and ready to go here, that's a game that I'll be targeting in tournaments. Now, moving on to the running backs here, and I talked about this in my cash plays video that I posted earlier today. There's a lot of high-priced running backs that are sitting in good spots this week. You know, obviously I got Saquon Barkley listed here, but Kyron Williams looks nice against Seattle. Alvin Kamara in a smash spot against the Carolina Panthers. But the reason I like Saquon here in tournaments is because he's going way overlooked. He's coming in around 6% ownership this week, which is just too low considering the upside he offers in this matchup. I mean, go look what Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers did to this Jaguars defense just last week. And then again, going to Jahmyr Gibbs here on the Detroit side of things, I'd love for him to get more volume in the rushing game, but obviously David Montgomery's still there and still a good running back himself, but his upside in the passing game and his explosiveness is truly unmatched, so I love him in tournaments as well. Again, I could stack up that game between Green Bay and the Lions if I wanted to. And then Chase Brown here, man, I almost talked about him as a cash game play considering his involvement in the matchup against the Raiders here this week, but ultimately like him just a little bit more on the tournament side of things, but this could be a week where he goes for 4x value at this price here at $5,900. Next, I got the wide receivers here, and the first guy I'm highlighting is Cooper Kupp. Now, assuming that Puka Nacua is fully healthy here on Sunday, or even limited like he was against the Vikings, I think he's in play as well. We could even do a double stack there with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, as well as Puka Nacua. You would really like for DK Metcalf to be in this matchup to keep it into a high-scoring shootout potential game, but I just don't think that's going to happen. So I just kind of like the Rams side of things here, but if DK does play, I think we could do a little run back with Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Pick your poison there, but this offense as a whole for the Seattle Seahawks is just a major downgrade when DK Metcalf misses. So keep that in mind, but I do like the Rams side of things here this week. Malik Neighbors, go look at what he did to this Washington secondary earlier this season. He absolutely dominated them. So I do like him at this price of $7,500, and he's going overlooked as well. And then Romeo Doubs, look, you could draw one of these wide receivers out of a hat, stack him up with Jordan Love. If you wanted to go with Wicks, that's a little cheaper, contrarian play. You could go with Jaden Reed as well. He's the number one wide receiver, in my opinion, in this offense. But I like Romeo Doubs here at $5,700, especially considering his touchdown upside. And then Devontae Smith, if you wanted to go with A.J. Brown, again, just really like the Eagles here in this matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Talked about it in my cash plays video. The Eagles are sitting really nice this week, and we could roster any one of their top tier players. And then I got a couple of more tight ends here for you in Brock Bowers and Mark Andrews. Highlighted two above with Jake Ferguson and Kyle Pitts in the same game. Talked about two cheaper tight ends in my cash plays video. Again, if you want to go check that out, both priced at $3,100. But Brock Bowers here in this matchup against that Bengals defense, I really like this spot, kind of looking at him as the number one pass catcher, number two pass catcher maybe behind Jacoby Myers. Both those guys, though, sitting in a nice spot here against this Cincinnati Bengals secondary, which has not been great this year. And Mark Andrews is finally coming onto the scene. Yes, likely still getting a solid role there. They did trade for Deontay Johnson. He'll be playing this week. But at $4,200 for a guy who's now scored 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games, I like that as a tournament play. And then as always, we're going to wrap it up there with a handful of defenses that I like on the tournament side of things. Look, if you want to spend down this week, I think it's the Giants against the Commanders or the Cardinals going up against Caleb Williams at home. But if you want to spend up this week, we do have the Chargers here taking on Jameis Winston. Now, I talked about Jameis in my cash plays video. He is very affordable. Love the upside I saw from him last week against this Baltimore Ravens defense. But he's still Jameis Winston. We know the turnovers he's had in the past, and his Chargers defense does have some playmakers. And then the Titans taking on the New England Patriots. That offensive line for New England is abysmal, so I'll pretty much play any defense against them, especially with Jacoby Brissett or Drake May starting at the quarterback position. I honestly don't care, but at $3,200 here, this Titans defense did stick out to me for tournaments. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks, and let's win some money on this Week 9 NFL main slate.